Alright, hey guys, we're back in Unreal Engine 4 working on our inventory system, and right now we're working on a few videos here to get the drag and drop logic working for slot swapping when moving objects within your inventory, as well as drag and dropping them into our scene so that they can be recollected and everything like that. So I'm going to put a link to the previous video here just so you can check it out so you're up to date with what we're doing. And from here, where we're going to be at, we're in the HUD blueprint. And we're in the macro we created for the drag and drop logic. And what we're going to need to add from here is a quick check, because right now we're working on the false of the check inventory slot dragging, which is what we have right here. So we're seeing if any of these are being dragged out at the moment. And if they aren't, then we go to false, but if they are, we go to true. And for right now, we have everything for false. So we're going to do the little bit of logic that we need for the true aspect of that. And what we need from here is the character reference. And we need that mouse click variable that we had. So let's go ahead and get mouse, and it says get is mouse click. Grab that, and we're going to make a branch. Whoops, let's just organize that. And we're basically going to grab the true from here. Let's bring it here. And we actually can move this up just so it's not crossing anywhere that we don't need it to be. And then from here, what we're going to plug this into is what we're going to also be plugging into the check for after the true and false here. So we can disconnect this print string, get that out of there. We can save it for later in case we need to make any more debugs for what we're doing. But next we need to make a new macro function. So let's click on macro. We're going to call this check for slot 1 drag and drop. And in here, we just need just the output and input, and each one of them are going to have one executable pin to them. Name the first one in, do the last one as out. And from here, we're going to basically determine whether or not the player is clicking on these objects if they're in the scene of the menu bar itself. So let's go ahead and check that out. But the first piece of logic that we need here is to see how many inventory items that we have in our system right now. So the first thing we need to do is grab our reference for our inventory. So let's grab the inventory reference, and we need to check basically the number of items in that inventory. So we need to get number of inventory items. We want to see if it's greater than or equal to 1. And then we're going to create a branch. So let's just organize that a bit. So if it's greater than or equal to 1, then we know for sure there's going to be items in our inventory. And it's from here we're going to need to check the mouse clicked X position to see if it's in range of where the first item would be in our inventory slot. So let's grab that reference here for the mouse clicked X position. Let's get that. And the numbers I have here that were hard-coded in, so just follow along. So we're going to see if that float is greater than or equal to 30. We're going to do a branch off that. We're going to plug in the true into this branch. And then if this is true, then we're going to do another call or check for the mouse clicked X position. We're going to see if it's less than or equal to a set number here. Let's give you 104 for right now. Then we're going to do another branch. We're going to plug in the true from the previous branch into this new branch. And then from here, we're going to create a new macro. So let's go ahead and create a new macro, and we're going to call this draw inventory item cursors. And what I mean by that is if we have the backpack in our menu and we left click on it and we start dragging it away, we want to draw a picture of that backpack as well, just so it tracks the mouse position so we can see where it's at. And that's basically what I mean by this macro. So again, this macro needs 2 executable pins here for in and out. And then as well for our input, we're going to need an inventory name. So for in, let's grab the name, and we'll put in inventory name as the name of the input. And then from there, we're going to check to see if it's equal to none. So basically, we're saying, hey, does the inventory name not equal none? If so, we're going to do branches here. So branch, plug that up. And then from here, we're going to check for the other item names that can exist. So again, they're backpack, top hat, jump rope, book, and key. Those are the names. So let's go ahead and get those checks going. So let's grab another input here. We're going to do equal. And we're going to have to hard code these names in. So just to make sure we have the spelling right, let's just go into our scene, just copy and paste them in from there. And we'll do all of them right now, just so we can get them out of the way. The next name, top hat. And this is going to be the more annoying part for this system, because you're going to have to put all the names of every item that would possibly exist in your game at this point. So if you have 100 items, you have to put 100 of these. If you have 10 items, you would have to do 10 of these, stuff like that. So we're just doing this here. Get the next name, book. And last but not least is the key. And it's just important that we have it spelled exactly the same way, just so we don't run into any errors going in the future here. But we have those set up, so we have a check to see if it's equal to, if it's not equal to none, if it's equal to backpack, if it's equal to top hat, all the way down to key. So from here, we can drag out another branch. We're going to be basically dragging out branches from all these. So let's do that right now. And we can also just organize this just a tad bit better. So if it's not equal to none, will be true, and this is basically where we're going to start our branches from. And then false into the next branch, false to the next branch, false to the next branch, and then false again to the last branch. So if the name does not equal none, if that's true, then we're going to check to see if it's equal to backpack. If it's not, we're going to check it to see if it's top hat. If not, all the way down to key again. But then for the true statements here, what we're going to need to do is redraw the textures again. So let's grab a draw texture simple. And then for the screen X and screen Y, we're going to need to get the player controller. And we're going to need the mouse position. And then from here, we're going to have to put in some numbers because by default there's kind of a offset. So we're going to have to correct the offset by subtracting 30 from each value. So we can do minus, so float minus float. So do minus 30 with the X, then also do minus 30 with the Y. And then these go into the X and Y of the draw texture simple. The scale we'll do 0.4. And then for the texture itself, we need to go back into our content browser. We'll do the backpack first. Plug that up. And then we can just organize this just a little bit. Okay. And we're going to have to do this for each texture here. So first let's do for the backpack, the true is going to go into draw the texture simple. So then we can copy and paste this. Replace the texture for the next one. And the next one on our list is the top hat. Let's grab the top hat, plug that in, and then plug it up with the true. And then we can copy and paste this again. Plug it up to the next true, which is for jump rope. Let's grab the jump rope texture, plug it in, and we can just kind of organize this a little bit. Copy and paste this again. Plug it up to the next true, which is for, I believe, book. So let's get that texture. Plug it in. Copy and paste it one last time. Plug it up to the last true for the key. And then we can grab the key texture and plug it in. And then from there, all of these output executables will go into the actual output of the macro. So let's plug that in for each of these. And there we go. The draw inventory item cursors macro is done. So all we have to do now is go back to the check for slot 1. And then from the true, we're going to draw in that draw inventory item cursor macro. And then we need the inventory item name, so we're going to get the slot 1 item name. Because this is the check for slot 1 drag and drop. And then from here, we need to set the slot 1 drag Boolean variable to true. And then we can grab the output and throw that into the output. And also, what we're going to do, if this is false, we're going to just throw this into the output as well. And if this is false, we're going to throw this out into the output. And that's it for slot 1 drag and drop logic here. So now all we have to do is get that macro for check for slot 1 drag and drop and plug it up to the true of this branch and also to the true of the is mouse click. True. So that's that. Let's see if that works at all. If anything, we should be able to draw whatever's in the slot 1 when we click on it. So here's our inventory. And here we go. So we can see it dragging, and then if we let go, it disappears, and nothing's dragged and dropped into the scene. It's still in our inventory, but we're able to just drag it, which is cool. So we got that working. So basically at this point, what we need to do is the same, almost the same exact thing, but for each slot that we have. So we have 5 in total. So we need to go ahead and create 4 more of these check for slot drag and drop macros. So let's create a new macro. We're going to call this check for slot 2 drag and drop. And these are going to be identical, except for certain variables changing. So let's go into our check for slot 1 drag and drop. Just grab the whole thing, copy and paste. And it'll only paste in everything that's not the input or output executables here, so we just have to make that again. So we need an in. Okay, so it's not allowing me to name these what I want them to name them. So let's go ahead and try this again. So in, and then output is out. Let's grab everything again. Let's actually disconnect the output and input, copy it, and then paste it. So the input goes into the first here. We're going to change this number from 1 to 2. We're going to change the mouse clicked X position from 30 to 152. These numbers may change for you. Then we're going to change the second number to 225. And then we need to change slot 1 item name to slot 2 item name. And then we got to change the boolean that we're setting here. So we're going to do slot 2 drag, set it to true. And then we just need to plug in the output. And then these 2 falses here. Now we can compile, save. Let's go back into our drag and drop logic. And let's get that new macro. So check for slot 2 drag and drop. Compile. Now let's grab the backpack and let's grab the top hat. Now we should be able to draw the top hat now. So here's the top hat. So the top hat's a little big when we draw that. So let's go back to that, and then for the draw inventory item cursor, let's change the scale for the hat to 0.3, just to make it a little bit smaller. And we actually can draw, let's pick up the top hat first, and then let's pick up the jump rope. So if we draw the top hat, works perfectly here. Drawing the top hat, and then we can draw the jump rope here. Let's see if it draws the jump rope. Okay, so that's not working, but we won't worry about that just yet. Let's see if we can pick up jump rope. And then let's get the backpack. So right now that's not working yet because we aren't resetting any variables just yet. So let's not worry about that just at this moment. Let's go ahead, and next we have to do the slot 3. So new macro, do the in and out executable pins. And let's do the check for slot 2. Let's copy and paste. Oh yeah, and we need to name this macro, of course. Let's name it check for slot 3, drag and drop, paste, plug in the input here, make this a 3, and then again we're going to hardcore some numbers. So for this X position it's going to be 247, and then this one's going to be 324. And then here we're going to have to change the slot name, so instead of slot 2 name, it's going to be slot 3. Plug that up. Delete that one, and we're going to do slot 3 drag. We're going to set that to true. And then we're going to plug up to the output. Oops. And then to these falses here. Compile. Go back to the drag and drop logic screen. Grab the check for slot 3, drag and drop, plug it in. And I believe it should work if we choose, the slot first when we pick it up. So let's pick up 3 items. And again, since we're not resetting the variables just yet, we're going to have some things that are going to be messing up. But if we see slot 3 and we left click, it's the rope. And then if we replay, let's pick up the book, then the top hat, and then the backpack. Left click on the backpack, it gets drawn. But it also continues to get drawn because we're not resetting the variables here. So don't worry about that, but we know everything's working so far. So again, we'll have to do this for the 4th and then 5th slots as well. So let's create a new macro. Call it check for slot 4 drag and drop. The input and then the output, so name it in and out respectively. And then we can go to a previous one, just copy and paste. Just so we don't have a lot up there, we'll exit some of them out. Go back to the check for slot 4, drag and drop. Plug in the input here. Change this number to 4. And then we're going to hard code these numbers again. So this one's going to be 353. And then 424 for the second one. We use the slot 4 item name variable here. Delete the slot 3 drag, put in the slot 4 drag, we're going to make that true. And then we're going to plug up the output here. And then these falses again. Compile that, go back into our main drag and drop logic. I'm sorry about that. Put in the 4th one. Then we just got to do this one more time. Sorry, I just Daft Punked. Okay, so new macro. Check for slot 5, drag and drop. Do the 2 inputs. Name the first one in, name the second one out. Just copy and paste. Back into slot 5. Hook up the input pin to the first branch. Change that number to 5 instead of 4. And then hard code these numbers. Let me get that in front of me right now. These numbers are 450 and 524. Remove the slot 4 item name, make it the slot 5 item name, and then do the 5th drag. So set slot 5 drag to true, and then hook up the output. To these falses. Compile, save, go back into our drag and drop logic macro. Put it in the check for slot 5 drag and drop macro here. And then all we have to do is get our output and just plug it up. And that's where we're going to stop for this tutorial, because now we have the ability to click on each item and have it draw it. But we don't reset any variables. We don't have the ability to switch the position. But we have the actual object being drawn. So here's the key, and we're drawing it. We may need to change the size of the key as well. Set the key right here. It's at 0.4. Let's make it 0.3. But then again, we do have every single object being drawn, and it knows where its position is, and we know which item is which item in the inventory, which is really cool. So we can pick up the book. But from there, the only thing that's drawn is the book. We're going to make that correction in the next video. But I just wanted to get this far for this tutorial. So I just want to say thanks again for watching, guys. I do appreciate it. Definitely subscribe if you haven't already. Like the video, comment the video, and as well share the video with anything. I want you to let me know what's going on, how you're using this system, if you have any questions. And obviously, if we get this shared, more people are able to learn this and implement them into their own game. So again, thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time. Bye. Thanks for watching, guys. I definitely appreciate it. So if you enjoyed the content, you can always subscribe to Devin Level Design by clicking either on me or the subscribe button above. If you want to check out more videos, you can click on the 2 links on the right to check out more tutorials and more blueprint examples. Again, thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it. I'll see you next time. Bye.